Batgirl issue 18, Legacy number 223, TATE BROMBAL writing with Takeshi Miyazawa on the R. So last issue ended with them jumping into the Spirit World portal, and that's where we sort of kick off here. And well, actually, we start off with the Bat family sort of waiting for Cass and being like, "Where the hell is she? We've waited long enough. All right, we have to go and like find her or something." However, we set up quite quickly once they're in the portal that there is a time difference here where like the guy that got shot in the head, right, he's in here, right, his spirit's in Spirit World, but he's been there for weeks by the time they go in, and they go in like a minute after that happened. So a minute in the real world is like 2-3 weeks inside Spirit World. So to the Bat family, Cass is probably going to be back in like a minute because how much time seems to be passing differently in there versus the outside world. But, you know, I will say that I was a little bit worried getting into this issue because I wasn't necessarily that excited about like spending an arc inside Spirit World. I think the pacing here was pretty decent, and I realized at the end of the issue why that is, because it's part 2 of 3, it's not part 2 of 6, and I think that's helping quite a bit where we're not like dwelling too much, we're just going through the beats, we're getting to things. There's a couple of good moments in here. There's a couple of good cast lines in particular. I will say though that I kind of wish we weren't doing this as the next plot. I kind of wish we were doing something a bit more, I don't know, more grounded, a bit more just sort of back to basics in Gotham kind of stuff with Cass.
Yeah, but the way that BROMBAL is choosing to interpret blood and what that means to Cass and Jade Tiger, and you know, just the concept of familial relations and blood. Right, and that whole thing of blood is thicker than water, and
oh yeah, I mean he's definitely doing that, but like I mean my thing here is I'm just disappointed that we're doing something supernatural again. You know, we had all the mystical stuff about the poppies and the undying people before, and now we're in Spirit World, and I'm just like, can we just have like a villain that Cass needs to deal with, please? Can we do that?
So, and so I only brought all that up because like I like what he's setting up here, because what they're doing with all the mystical type of things is, at the end of the day, the people that are missing her are people that she's not blood related to. And the ones that are causing the problems, all right, are her blood relatives. And there's this curse with this blood in here that they had to go to Spirit World to deal with. So I really like how that's all playing out. And then I just hope when this is over, we get to see her hang out with Stephanie and the rest of the Bat family for a second. But yeah, I thought it was a fun issue.
That was okay. I'm just a little disappointed that it's doing what it's doing. Like there's good moments. There's a really good moment where Cass says, "Okay, we're going to deal with this, to remove this curse, and then I can get back to my real family." And then there's just a silent panel of Tenji just being like, like, you know, this idea, like, because she didn't mean that as a slight. She did not mean that as, oh, he's not my real family. But he obviously took it that way. He took it as like, oh, I'm not part of your real family. Your real family is this Bat family. So I like that moment.
Yes, and I like that just because he's going to learn that he is a part of that family as well now, you know, and that she didn't mean that exactly. Is they still just met. Like they couldn't have known each other at this point for more than 3 weeks?
Yeah, something like that.
If we're judging from stuff, right? So like, I get why that was put in there, but the whole thing with the Blood Master and what like it gets passed down from down from the family, but this guy's dad didn't want to give up the power, so he did a thing to take over his body, and now that's what he's fighting for. Is he's fighting for the autonomy there, and Cass relates that to her dad. Right, what's her dad's name? The assassin
David
guy?
Kane.
Yeah, Kane. So she's comparing that to Kane and how he had trained her to be something that she ended up not wanting to be, and relating that to this guy about the Blood Master and stuff. So again, I like that BROMBAL's playing with these different archetypes of storytelling to tell Cass's story. And, I feel like it's going to lead to her choosing her family instead of being, besaddled with it.
Alternatively, I felt like half this issue, just like the last arc, was explaining all this shit. Like it was a lot of explaining the lore of this blood curse, and I'm just like, can we just do a story that doesn't need to explain all the supernatural rules of the thing that we're talking about? Like that's just what I'm kind of tired of. Like I'm just a little bit tired of that. And don't get me wrong, this is better paced than the last arc was. It absolutely is, and I was enjoying some of the action well enough. Like it's perfectly fine, right? But ultimately, like the actual goal of the issue wants to meet up with the cousin, the one who had his head shot. They meet up with his spirit. He's like, oh, we have to go out to the Devil's Tower out there in the desert, and I'm like, this is, and no wonder I'm not feeling this that much, because this is just a fantasy story. This is, oh, the mystical tower's out there in the thing, and we have to get to it. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I think Brombal writes stories well, and I like kind of the tone of the conversation he tends to have, but the plot of this issue, or this arc and the last arc, have been very, very not to my taste, which is kind of a bummer. Like, I'm bummed. Like, the last issue was better because it was going through the building and it was all just kind of building up to the whole portal thing. This issue, though, feels that we're back into explaining a bunch of exposition and a bunch of mumbo jumbo that I'm going to forget immediately as soon as I've read the book.
Which last month you did worry about, I do recall, because of Spirit World. But, you know, I hung in, and I tend to enjoy this stuff a bit more, right? And so as they're going and they're trying to get there, and, you know, we get a little bit of teasing with the Bloodmaster sees that Jaya's up to something, right? Because, you know, he says that he recognizes her. So, you know, so there's also things that are ongoing that are gonna go on past this happening along the story. So I'm okay with all of that. But again, I tend to enjoy the fantasy elements as dressing more than you do.
Well, the Bloodmaster's father, who wants to steal his body, is also in here, right? So he's like the villain in the spirit world, and he sends what seems to be an evil version of I thought it was Shiva. I thought it was Shiva at first, but then there's like someone else who shoots down the arrow. Because remember, like, so whoever's sent to kill them in the forest, like, jumps out at them, and then someone else shoots an arrow, and it's sort of like teasing the idea that the spirit of Shiva is there trying to help. Maybe it's a good and bad version of Shiva. There's two Shivas, maybe.
Because the one that's sitting there, right, that is sitting on that throne, he goes, "Can you manage that, cousin?" And it says, "Gladly," and that's what I took to mean Shiva, right?
Yes, but they're purposely obscuring her appearance there. She's all in shadow. You can't see exactly who she is.
Right. And then there's the one that's above them that, right, is standing there, and I don't know who that's supposed to be. Because it says it's a blood ninja. So who shot the blood ninja?
Yeah, well, I think that they speculate it could be Shiva looking out for them.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that is a bit confusing there. I forgot about that because I read this early in there. So yeah. And
there's also a tease that Jaya used to be someone else, and it'll upset the others if they find out. I don't know if it's someone that we'll like know, if we'll be like, oh, that's who she was before, or if it's someone that'll just be kind of retconned into some backstory or what. But so it's them wandering in the woods, and it just ends as they're getting close to the thing. Yeah, I think the one that the villain's talking to is probably this character at the end. Was it Wu Bing?
Yeah. And so that's why the cousin. So that's right. So she was the one that showed up at the ranch to fight Cass.
Oh, was she? Okay.
Right? Yes. And so that's why she's in Spirit World now, because she died.
Yeah. Which, that's the other thing. Not only are we spending a lot of this issue explaining a lot of the Spirit World stuff and a lot of this rules with the blood curse, we're still juggling a bunch of characters that have not, like, remotely become memorable to me yet. Like, this character at the end, Wu Bing, the Bloodmaster's father. Like, I'm starting to get used to Jaya, right? And I'm used to Bronze Tiger, or Jade Tiger, not Bronze Tiger. I'm used to those two kind of. I like them being like her two friends in the last issue. I enjoyed that trio of characters. But this issue, I was once again feeling like, oh, here's a bunch of other characters that I'm struggling to remember from the last couple of arcs. Like, because they mentioned at one point, like the Bloodmaster's like, hey, the last time I saw you was during this fight, and it's like, oh, remember back in Batgirl issue 4? And I'm like, I don't know if you've made me have made that memorable enough for me to remember that far back. I'm sorry.
So now I definitely think I know who's helping them in the forest, and it's, if I had to guess, it's Shiva's sister. I forget her name, right? But she's the one that died.
Yeah.
Right. So she doesn't want. I feel like she's not going to want to get involved, and that's why she's doing things from the shadows. Because I still don't think Shiva's fully dead, right? So I don't think they'll run into her in Spirit World. But yeah,
it's a bold
definitely.
Take.
But yeah, there's so many. He's juggling so many different characters and elements that it's taking a full conversation to pull these things out, and that's not a good sign of storytelling.
Yeah, right? and I'm feeling that confusing as I'm reading it, where I'm like, oh, who is this character again? Who is this character again? A lot of these like secondary and ancillary characters are not like super memorable, and then you add on all the mysticism stuff that I'm not really feeling either. That's taking a lot of exposition. It is a bit of a downer, because I do like the characterization of Cass. I like a lot of the things, the personal relationships. I like her having the brother, and when we learned all that. I like the action. Usually whenever the action happens in this book, it's usually really well done. Although, admittedly, I don't think it's as good in this issue, because the locations aren't as... once they're in Spirit World and they're fighting a bunch of evil spirits, it's just kind of like a free-for-all of like where everyone is and like what they're fighting. Whereas compare that to last issue, where it's like, oh no, we're going up a stairwell and we're fighting a bunch of ninjas. There's a sense of geography, there's a sense of space that we're moving through. Here, everything just feels like it could be anything because we're in Spirit World, and I don't find that as interesting. Right. So... I hate to be too much of a downer, because there's things about this book I really like, and it's been great at times, but yeah, this issue, while better paced than I was worried it was going to feel, still suffers from a lot of the problems that I was starting to really get annoyed by in the last arc, which is a shame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, talking through it, I start to see the holes pop up, right? Whereas I was okay to look past them because I was enjoying this type of mystical element more than the other stuff. But yeah, I can definitely see the holes in it.
I just hope when this arc's done, we're not doing anything mystical. I really hope. But sadly, that just might be what Bramble wants to do for his entire run, and that'll be a bummer if that's the case. I really would rather it be a bit more grounded in the real world. But hey, that's what it is. Obviously Miyazawa's art is very good. While I do think the location of the Spirit World makes it a less interesting place to draw fights in, there's nothing wrong with the line work. There's nothing wrong with the art style or anything like that. It's all solid stuff.
No, when the Bloodmaster, the father character, who I am assuming is sitting in the tower, and that's where the game.
Yeah, Bloodmaster's the cousin they're talking to. That's who Bloodmaster is.
Yes.
The father is his father.
Right, but he's trying to take over his body so he doesn't have to relinquish the power, right? Because that's the entire point of him going in here.
Yes, but the cousin character that they're actually traveling with is the one that we've known as the Bloodmaster since he showed up.
Okay, gotcha. So then the father just sitting there in the dark, looking like a final boss villain, looks great because all the shadows. Because
just to clarify the one detail again, there's so much exposition. I just remembered this. The one rule about taking this blood pact is that you're not allowed to resurrect, but the father has found a loophole, and that loophole is if he goes back, if he basically takes over his son's body, he gets to come back as his son. That's how he's trying to work around things. Yes. And the fact that you didn't remember that to say that earlier on when you were explaining the blood stuff says something.
True. Yes. There's a lot going on. But I'll say, all the shadows here and all that stuff looks great, and then you turn the page, and the first panel is them walking along the sunset, right? And you just see their silhouettes, and that looks so good too. So the fact that Miyazawa is doing, both of these type of things with the shadows and the lights, I think all that stuff looks real fun and good. But yeah, it's less than the sum of its parts at this point.
Yeah, it's just right now it's something I don't want it to be. I don't want it to be this fantasy story about traveling to a magical tower, right? That's the same boring crap that Lord of the Rings is. I'm not interested. Okay, I'm just not.
No one ring to rule them all. It's just the bloodline.
Oh dear. All right, what are you giving Batgirl 18?
I'm gonna give this a tentative 7.5.
I am giving it a 6 out of 10, and it pains me to do it, but it's as high as I can go. The craft is perfectly solid. I just do not like what it's doing right now.